Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of Know Your Enemy. Today on Know Your Enemy we are touching, you guessed it, it's Control Tribunal. The fun police deck, as some may say. The Control Tribunal is based on a simple idea. A lot of actions, decent bodies for creatures, and late game destruction. So the basic flow of a Control Tribunal is to suppress anything that you would summon or try to achieve during the early stages of the game through various means such as guards, actions, hard removals, cast into time, piercing twilight, execute firebolt, lightning bolt, javelin, edict, ice storm. There's a lot of them, and here's the problem. The only thing that it is pulling a Control Tribunal back is the 75 cards deck. So rule number 1, stick to aggro. If you are an aggro deck, stick to aggro, don't trade, don't let yourself lured into a trading trap. This also stands for mid decks, mid-range decks, Dagoth, it's Sorcerer, Mid-Lalu, mid anything. Stick to your designated purpose and try to go as much aggro as possible. If you do that, you will avoid the mid and late game. You'll also overflow the Tribunal player with cards. Here there's a 50-50 chance of him getting the exact removals to end your spree, or just fill his hand with big stuff, high cost stuff that he can only play one at a time, giving you an optimal advantage. And we're getting on to rule number 2, because we've talked about late game. So avoid late game at all costs. And rule number 2 states use cards that prevent the Tribunal from getting there. What this means is, we all know Tribunal tends to boost up its magicka. There's only like a couple of creatures that can do that. We've got the Hive Tree Minder and the Tribunal Oathman. And at one point, even though you try to go full aggro, you'll notice that the Tribunal sometimes can make an insane comeback, thanks to that magicka boost advantage. So you want to limit that as much as possible by cutting down his magicka. It's pretty simple. Fit in your decks Withered Hand Cultist, fit Garnag, fit Wrath of Citis. There are lots of cards that you can play. Also, with the new expansion, there's the card that you pick a specific magicka level, and your opponent cannot play that magicka level cards, which is quite useful in avoiding javelins, cast into time, and many other nasty stuff. Cultists usually tend to be focused on by the Tribunal, so try to, I don't know, use them in tandem or try to buff them. You'll notice that sometimes a Tribunal will even force a Sorcerer Negation, a 4-cost action on a 6 magicka turn, just to rid of that Withered Hand Cultist. Rule number 3, it's pretty simple. Rule number 3 says you should always keep your forces split. I don't run Firestorm, or actually only run one copy of Dawn's Wrath in my Control Tribunal. But you get the picture. Keep your forces split between the lanes. Even though you'll get some guards, that's fine. But a Tribunal will only focus on one specific side of the board. Either to put guards, either to use spells that at least destroy one half of the board. So splitting your forces around turn 7 or before basically hinders a Tribunal in playing a Dawn's Wrath or multiple Firestorms that can basically shut down an entire lane, and that's it. It's kind of game over. There's no way you can come back if you've committed and your hand has been shot. It's pretty hard to recover. The Control Tribunal also have some aces up his sleeve, such as Emperor's Blade, Arcanum Sarioni, and for that, rule number 4 says have silence cards, or at least cards that steal keywords, such as Penitence Oculatus Agent, and as silence, you'd want to go easy, as in Hilalu Sharpshooter. I wouldn't recommend having Earthbone Spinners. They're 4 costs, and you'd want to put some stuff on the board as well. So silence effects help you in overcoming those guards, those nasty guards that the Tribunal has access to. That's Hive Defender, that's Emperor's Blade, and of course there's small stuff that will just hinder you bit by bit. It's enough for him to boost his magicka and to gain some decent cards, some decent removals. Up until you manage to defeat the guards, you're kind of dead. So that's a very important point to remember. Going into rule number 5, and rule number 5, I'd say, is keep your stuff boosted as high as possible. Keep your creatures on the board boosted by any means necessary, either by allies that give +1/+1, or items, or wards, anything, absolutely anything that keep your cards above 3 HP, above 4 HP. Above 3 HP is very important, because Ice Storms in aggro decks, Ice Storms just decimate aggro decks. If the board is not boosted, the aggro player will most likely have to concede, because there will be no more juice to continue. As a Hilalu player, I can tell you will encounter some difficulties with playing against the Tribunal. And as for Tribunal or other control decks, getting into rule number 6, you'd find this very difficult, and you'd find that a control versus control mirror, be it not Tribunal versus Tribunal, but any form of control deck versus Tribunal, it will come down to who built the best deck, what deck synergizes the most, and who is the most lucky of the players by drawing key cards and maintaining a superior position over the enemy. I say that the best deck against Tribunal control is currently Mid-Dagoth. Has loads of clunky creatures that can avoid a lot of the the actions that the Tribunal has access to. Ice Storm can only affect a couple of creatures from a mid-Dagoth. And you've got silences, you've got Withered Hand Cultist. You do want to refrain from playing Hand of Dagoth as soon as you have it. Even though you have the Ring of Magicka, if you play that early on, and you only have one copy in hand, and the Cast into Time hits the board, all your hands of Dagoth will be lost. So remember, keep one for backup. Don't play it right away. Wait until you got at least two, or if you think you are lucky, go ahead and try to push it. As for Crusader decks, a Crusader has, I'd say, 80% chance of defeating a Tribunal control. Either by tokens, it has the ability to gain board supremacy very, very fast, and to end the game before turn 6 or 7. That 20% remained right the time when an Ice Storm hits the board, or thanks to those awesome tokens that you just spawn. Reverberating Strike takes good care of all of them. Happened to me. I can relate. And one of the almost bad decks against Tribunal control is, I'd say, Archer. Now, you have some reach with the Archer, but if you are playing a mid-Archer with Ashlander Punisher and Rage, you're gonna be in a tough spot, because you will aim to, I don't know, shackle lethal Archer's Gambit, but you won't have many creatures to do that on. As soon as you summon something, Tribunal will have the exact response for your played card. So all in all, Tribunal control decks can be defeated quite easily, but you need to anticipate a Tribunal's movements. You need to understand when Javelin will hit, when Caster to Time can hit. What's your board status? Do you have stuff on the board that is exposed? Do you think you can bait your opponent into removing something that you don't actually need? That's the case with Ashlander Punisher, and that's how I use it to maximum efficiency in my mid-Dagoth. Always try to think, what could he play next? Because if you do that, and most likely in 75% of the cases, you'll be spot on, and you'll be able to avoid it. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Cheers.